Good evening. The family of a grandmother who was killed in a house explosion in Birmingham have thanked the people who risked their lives to try to save her. Doreen Mace, who was 79, was found under rubble a metre deep following the blast in Kingstanding in June last year.
Her partner David Murphy was pulled from the wreckage with significant injuries. Today, the inquest into Doreen's death concluded the tragedy was an accident after evidence was given about a faulty gas pipe which had been installed decades ago. Lewis Warner reports.
The scene of sheer destruction is now gone, but the family's pain at their loss is not. The explosion here last June happened underneath one home and one community. Doreen Mace had been staying with her partner at his home on Dulwich Road. Underneath their feet was a leaking gas pipe that decades earlier hadn't been properly soldered together. It was leaking small amounts of gas over a considerable time before failing fully on the day of the explosion. Investigations since have not been able to establish when the pipe was installed or by who, leaving the coroner to order the jury to reach a conclusion of accidental death. Speaking after today's conclusion, Doreen's great-grandson spoke of the family's thanks to those who tried to help her.
It's been a long 6 months and a very tough and cruel 6 months for the family. And I'd just like to thank everyone for their involvement on the case, and for especially those brave people that managed to save Dave and attempted to save my nan. She was similar to Catherine Tate, a lot of my friends say. She always spoke her mind, and she was never scared to speak her mind either. And I think looking down on me today, my nan would be very proud of all of us for staying strong. And she was a really family orientated woman. That's all she cared about. She dedicated her whole life to her family, and that's the one thing I'm really proud of.
David Murphy, who survived the blast, was not called as a witness to give evidence at the inquest, with the coroner saying it was not necessary, as his memory of the night was vague. While a consultant pathologist couldn't pinpoint the precise cause of Doreen's death, the jury found that it was as a result of the effects of the house collapsing after the explosion. Doreen's death can now officially be registered, as she is remembered as someone with the determination and vigour for life, on par with a person half her age.
Well, Lewis joins us in the studio now. And Lewis, is there anything that the family feel could be learned to prevent this from happening to other families?
Well, yesterday we heard that David Murphy, along with a neighbour, could smell gas in the moments before the explosion. He spoke to the gas distributor, Cadent, and was read the standard transcript that people are given in these situations. He was told not to use any source of ignition, to ventilate the house, and that an engineer would arrive within the hour. Sadly, it was only 15 minutes before the explosion happened. Now, some of Doreen's family think that transcript given should be amended to now ask people to leave the property in these circumstances as a precaution, even though explosions like this are extremely rare and deaths resulting from these explosions are even rarer than that. Also, the record of this house is almost non-existent. We don't know when the house was built. We also have no records of the gasworks that might have taken place, so it's made the investigation quite difficult. And the coroner also said to those sitting in the court, the journalists, the family, the public, the police officers, whether we all know where our gas supply is coming from and where we know that valve is. I certainly didn't know where mine is. I will be checking when I go home tonight. There is no indication whether that would have prevented this tragedy from happening, but of course it may just stop something similar happening in the future.
OK, Lewis, thank you very much.